XFarm might just have raised the perfect round in AgriTech. The cap table involved might actually have touched like some of the great point to position a company to actually grow as fast as it can. XFarm Technology raising 36 million in a round led by Partech, Mouro Capital, and then existing investors Swisscom Ventures and the United Ventures. Partech is a huge firm which started in 1982. A lot of different funds are included into the Partech ecosystem, including the Impact and Growth Fund. Secondly, I would say having a CVC, Swisscom Venture, that's a CVC arm of Swisscom. And finally, Mouro Capital. Mouro Capital is a Fintech investor. What does Fintech has to do with AgriTech? Well, a lot of products are not present in the ag space, including the ways to manage risk and investment, including insurances for crops or whatnot. Let's dive immediately, talking about XFarm. So, very interesting round because XFarm might just have raised the perfect round in AgriTech. I'm telling you this bold statement because it's first of all is a very substantial round for the venture sort of trend that is happening in Italy. So first of all, kudos to the founder to being able to raise such an interesting and substantial round. And then, of course, the cap table involved might actually have touched like some of the great point to position a company to actually grow as fast as it can. So let's start from the news and then let's break it down. XFarm Technology raising 36 million in a round led by Partech, Mouro Capital, and then existing investors Swisscom Ventures and the United Ventures. So in general, XFarm is basically has been working for a few years in trying to digitize basically everything that is happening on a farm, from basically data collection to management. So really providing a sort of a ERP for farms and farming in general. And they've been quite successful in providing a product that is simple enough, high adoption, high growth, and it's really working well. So, what is your first impression here, Nick?
Well, I agree with you. This looks like this is working very well. So the story is interesting. So the way they started as a company, and you can read it from the website, they were like coming from the field, literally. So the founders had their hands into agriculture from families, from previous businesses, and they were looking for an ERP for their companies, for the farms, and they couldn't find any because most of them were from the US, and the US has a totally different approach to farming. Huge farmers, some great investments, so totally different way of working. So, and they did the next most logical thing. They built one themselves. And it is a case of, you make your own dog food, you eat your own dog food, and then you start selling your own dog food to others because, they're probably similar. And look the results. It is very interesting. And I love this story. So this is the most interesting.
No, the story is simple. I mean, from the out, it's very linear. I'm sure there has been like a lot of challenges, but still is a great example of how exactly a company is built around a need personally, and then you believe, and then people follow you in adopting this kind of solution, and there you are, on a big path to actually hyper growth, which is very interesng. So
the lesson here is that you don't find the solution. So you're basically looking for a solution. You actually stumble into a market need, and that's interesting because that's a great opportunity. Please interrupt you. You were saying.
No, 100%. So just to highlight also a few very interesting steps that they've been doing. So essentially, we've seen the acquisition trend for growth happening in Italian startup. XFarm is not an exception. So basically, they've been acquiring two companies, Spain-based Greenfield Technology. We talked about that in a few episodes back. Basically, this is a company specializing in soil characterization which basically should support regenerative agriculture. So that's acquisition number one. And then a French company, SpaceSense, which is a climate intelligence service using satellite data and AI on farm sustainability assessment. So again, these guys are really attaching different pieces little by little on very, very sensitive topics, which is, regenerative agriculture, very huge trend, like changing agriculture in the past years. And then, of course, using of space data to make agriculture better and making better agri-decision given on analytics coming from space. So very, very interesting angle. So nice attachment, not just your standard sort of digital platform, which, it's one size fit all and that's it. They're really like looking into what's going to happen in the future. So very good feeling on that. I don't know, Nick, what's your sense on this?
Yep. No, I agree. I was taking a look at the sequence of funding rounds for XFarm. I was looking at they started with a seed round in 2018, and raising a Series A in a couple of years later, end of 2019, and there United Ventures led. And then I see the Series B in 2022, Swisscom Ventures led 17 million. And then finally, this latest round, 36 million. So, I mean, it looks more or less by the books.
Yeah, and let's talk about the investors, because that's probably the most intriguing part. So first of all, Partech. So Partech is a huge firm which started in 1982. A lot of different funds are included into the Partech ecosystem, including the Impact and Growth Fund. So basically, they invested in XFarm through the Impact Fund, and that's kind of the good way of thinking, especially at the beginning, by integrating a lot of regenerative agriculture and these kind of angles, and that probably made them way more appealing to these impact funds than before. So very nice move, and having such a huge fund backing you, both from the impact perspective, but since they also have the growth fund, that's really like a massive win, because they can really like generate a lot of like follow-up rounds, a lot of like momentum in the future. So Partech definitely like one of the big wins, I would say, for them. Secondly, I would say having a CVC, Swisscom venture, that's a CVC arm of Swisscom in general. So they're basically investing in IT infrastructure in general, artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. I think it's a $500 million fund, and these guys have been going hard in infrastructure investment, and again, very, very strategic to have like a CVC on board for sure. So that's another very interesting investor. And finally, Mouro Capital. So that's the cool one, which can actually tell us a little bit more about what's going to happen in the future. So Mouro Capital is a fintech investor, as you know, and what does fintech has to do with agritech? Well, a lot of product are not present in the ag space, including like the ways to manage risk and investment, including insurances for crops or whatnot, in a digitized way. So Mouro probably saw this kind of opening, and the guys at XFarm are really looking into developing this kind of product. So there you go. That's the next movement for the next 5 to 10 years, and how exactly they're going to grow and evolve the business, not only focusing on agritech per se and management and data, but also giving like a full service 360 sort of product that can actually give a lot of value to farmers. So that's why I think it looks like a perfect C round for them.
I agree. And one latest bit of curiosity, Mouro Capital was also part of the round raised by TrueLayer and announced it last week, a couple of weeks ago.
Interesting. Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I mean, what is fascinating is that agritech is not just agritech. It has a lot of angles, and I like it with the way Mouro Capital sort of framed this investment, saying that fintech is pervasive, embedded finance is again taking a turn and is everywhere. And we've been talking about that, and it's happening even in the less obvious. Well, it's okay if you think about it. It's kind of okay. I get it, but it's not that obvious. So that was interesting. That was definitely interesting. All right, moving on. Let's talk about Aiko. Aiko, a space tech startup raising 3.5 million from Deep Blue Ventures and Primo Ventures. So essentially, Aiko is supporting space provider to basically automatize their processes in different ways. We've been talking about Aiko, and again, this is another good example on how the space economy in Italy is actually really flourishing, and both in terms of people investing in the space economy, but also in founders working into problems that are related to the space economy. So definitely kudos to the founders and to you guys. I mean, Primo Space is one of the main investor here, so interesting deal.
Yeah, Aiko, I believe Aiko was one of the first investments made by the space team originally when they launched the fund. And of course, space technology is a market that's starting now, so it takes some time to get things moving. But Aiko is doing quite well, I hear, and this round is a nice signal that they are starting to get some grip and traction from the market. Still not easy, but all of this is moving. The movement in the space technology is growing, and as you said, we are seeing a lot of opportunities coming out of Italy or touching the market. So very interesting.
Awesome. And talking about Primo still, let's talk about WithLess. WithLess is a software management startup raising 3 million in a seed round led by Primo Ventures and participated by Apside, Zest, Be Heroes, and other angel investors. So let's talk about that. I know you're super excited about what they're doing, so let's start from there.
Yeah. Well, I told you about the story and I posted it on LinkedIn. So basically, when I saw the pitch of WitLess, I was like, oh, I want this. And I actually started using the solution. And then I said, okay, now I need to invest in it. And I push it through our investment process because, I mean, I was feeling the problem. As you know, Jack, I'm also the CTO in Primo. That means that I keep the lights on and try to have all the software solutions and things going on. I try to keep them working. One of the big problems is that you pay, you start to rent, you try to keep an eye on what's going on in terms of software systems running within the company. And it was a mess. And WithLess is basically a solution that allows ICTO and the CFO, so it says to customers, to keep an eye on what's being used and to administer the payments, aggregate all the billing. So basically, it eases the life of CTOs and CFOs related to the software, any software that's running within the company. And as you said, I mean, this is a fintech in a certain sense because they do aggregate all the payments on the same platform. And I love the concept, and we decided to invest. And I think there's a huge opportunity here. So if software is eating the world, awesome, let's try to avoid the indigestion. So let's keep it under control. That was the idea.
So talking about product, what is the thing that really made you click? Like what was the thing that actually, you checked it out and you're like, okay, I need to try it out and I'm sure I'm going to like it. What was that specific thing?
Well, the digital promise, it saves time in chores, in boring stuff that you have to do, and that's not easy to automate because it requires pulling together different data sources, transactions, bank accounts, invoices, emails, and questions to a team spread around that uses software and loves software just because they can and they will do. So that promise was the trigger that clicked immediately. and I think it maintains the promise. So, but that was just, I had that problem, and that was the solution at the perfect time.
Awesome, perfect. All right, now for our AI corner, let's talk about the latest report from Air Street Capital. Huge report that I encourage people to take a look. It's linked in Nicolo's newsletter, so definitely check it out and have a read. That outlines some very interesting trends. What I wanted to highlight are two specific points which I thought were particularly interesting. So the first one is the fact that with an unprecedented speed, all the models are kind of converging in terms of performance. So at the beginning we were thinking how exactly, models, one is better than the other, and how long this battle is going to go forever, and how fast. Well, it turns out that they're getting closer as quicker as predicted, probably. So that's very interesting, and that definitely gives us sort of a confirmation of what we were thinking, which is AI will become a commodity, and people have been saying that, we've been talking about that, and so at the end of the day, it's, some people say it's like energy. We don't care who's our energy provider, who give us lights, as long as there is electricity. That's the first insight. Nick, what do you think about this?
No, I like the way you put it. I mean, it seems that right now the competitive advantage that OpenAI has on all the others is shrinking. And in particular, I think that everybody's feeling the competitive pressure of Meta in particular with Llama and the other open source models providers, because they're really pain in the neck for all the closed models providers. And for many users, probably you really don't care about a couple of points of, in the benchmarks of higher or lower, just a couple of points. So I guess we'll see a wave of specialization in a way. And it appears from the report that this specialization is bringing with it ways to make models leaner, smaller, more able to be run on the edge. And that will open up a huge new wave, in particular, I think, in the agentic solution space. So I think the next wave is coming from there. And in the report, you can read that there is a lot of pressure towards the agent, a new agent-driven world. It'll be interesting.
Awesome. The second insight that I wanted to point it out is that also what is happening is that planning and reasoning take priority in LLM research. So basically, if at the beginning, people were trying to actually provide models that with a certain accuracy would give light speed sort of answers, right now they're trying to downplay it a little bit by actually enhancing the thinking part, which provide a better quality answer. So we're seeing that with the GPT-01, where there is a little bit more time between asking a question and providing an answer. And I think we're in a moment where consumer would prefer taking a few more seconds, which we're talking about seconds, but have a far better answer than just a fast, generic sort of reply. So that's where things seem to move. What is your think on this?
Well, I agree that's the trend, and OpenAI is strawberry, open the door with some, they taking the other players. I don't think by surprise, but try to take advantage on that. Even though they're catching up fast, even without deploying new models, there was this thread on Twitter, on X, regarding a specific prompt for Claude, the Aiko model, I think, that basically provides a very similar approach to the output as vanilla strawberry. So it's a big prompt asking Claude to reason in a specific way. And the result is similar. I mean, it will take time to produce the outputs. You will have the entire reasoning output on the console with not the same results, but getting closer. And this says something about the way that OpenAI got to Strawberry. So some smart engineering, some smart prompting, still not a revolution as the way they were, somehow putting it in the beginning. So the race is on.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, Nick, thank you so much for joining. Thank you to all the listener. And this is it for this week, and I'll see you all next week. Thank you, guys.
Ciao, Jack. Take care. Ciao, everybody. See you in a week.